Hello everyone, so in this video I'd like to talk about something I call the wealth guilt complex. So wealth can be a really funny thing. It's greatly empowering on the one hand, but it can often come with feelings of responsibility, and sometimes it can feel a little bit like a burden, in my experience talking to clients. Now, wealthy people are without doubt very, very lucky to have the empowering aspect that money can bring. But some often really struggle with the wider issue of dealing with the emotional side of wealth, which we shouldn't underestimate. So certainly for those who, say, inherited or were born into wealth, they didn't ask for this responsibility, and in some cases they don't particularly want it either. So if you're a maker of wealth, or whether you're an inheritor of it, what can you do to deal with this emotional baggage? So firstly, I'm aware that this topic will be extremely relevant to a small number of people, but it will have little meaning to a large number of people, and this is most definitely the definition of a first world problem. But regardless of that, it's an issue that I've seen many people struggle with, and as such I'd like to offer the benefit of my thoughts and my experience. So here are three things to think about if you're a wealth creator, or if you're passing money down to the next generation that perhaps you didn't create but you inherited yourself. So number one, focus on the empowerment that wealth can bring. The next generation have got a choice, and it's important for them to remember that. They can choose to use the wealth to help themselves, they can help others through charity or philanthropic work, or they can effectively ignore it and basically have it managed by somebody else almost at arm's length if they so wish. All are potentially valid choices, and the answer to that will depend on what's right for them. Now, wealth shouldn't detract from your life or make it more complicated. In fact, it should enhance it, it should make it better. And if that isn't happening, then they need to go and find an advisor or advisors that can help with the psychological aspect of wealth, as well as the practical day-to-day aspects of looking after it. So number two is to lay the groundwork well in advance. So coming into a lot of money very suddenly, at the same time as dealing with a family bereavement, can really throw even the most responsible and calm-natured of people. Certainly in the UK, we do have a bit of a taboo around speaking about money. Now, you don't need to give the next generation facts and figures. I think I've said this before in these videos, but you should help to instill in them the values and the disciplines that they're going to need to understand, to preserve and to grow that wealth over time, so that they're prepared to deal with it as and when their time comes. And then thirdly is to convey the core principles around financial education. I mean, it's always amazed me that money, or perhaps the management of money, has such a major impact on our lives, yet so little attention is paid to learning about it. So take some time to go back to square one with the next generation. Why do we have money anyway? What's the point? Where did this money come from? What good can it do? How does compounding work? You know, in doing this, you're giving the next generation basically the toolkit that they need to make their own decisions when you're not here. Now, if you're on the other side of the equation and you're likely to receive an inheritance, here are some things that you might want to think about. So number one is that wealth can have its ups and downs. You might not have asked for this situation, but you need to really own it. And I don't mean that in the sort of legal sense, I mean it in the psychological sense. You know, this money or these assets are yours to do with as you wish. And don't worry about the short-term ups and downs. It's more the direction of travel that's the important thing to get right. You wouldn't, think about it this way, you wouldn't navigate a ship wave by wave, you aim for a general heading. And investing in some respects is exactly the same. So number two is to think carefully about your choice of advisors. Now, just in my experience, what works best is a small number of advisors that are able to work with each other, so there's no egos in the room. That can often be an important factor, and who really kind of get you and understand you. Having different views is fine, and that's what makes the world go round, but you should share common values so that you can all work together to make decisions, hopefully with diligence and speed. Now, last of all, a long-term vision is important, and I talk about this quite often, but it's also important not to rush it. Now, some people inherit wealth and immediately they've got a really clear idea of what they want to do with it. But many, however, inherit it and take quite some time to figure out what their long-term vision is. And both of these approaches are totally fine. Everyone's different and different people work at different speeds. Changing strategies several times is a fantastic way to lose money. So I really would suggest take your time when you're thinking about what direction you want this newfound wealth to go in, and really don't rush it. Remember, this is likely to be a marathon, it's not a sprint. So a few months here or there really is not going to move the needle, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things. So hopefully these insights and views can help you in your own wealth journey, whatever stage you're at and whatever side of that wealth equation you're on. But I'll leave you with a quote from Robert Kiyosaki that I particularly like when I'm thinking about these kind of big picture family wealth topics. And that quote is, "It's not how much money you make, but how much you keep, how hard it works for you, and how many generations you keep it for." So as always, if you found this video useful, please do like, comment and share. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.